Hi, welcome to Wellness Wednesdays with Dr. Brianna Gaynor. I am so excited to speak with you guys today because we are talking about a very special topic, returning to school as an adult. So, I'm going to give you a few moments to come in and then we are going to get started. Um, I'm very excited about this topic because I think that it's not something that we talk about a lot, but it's something that happens pretty regularly. I talk to clients very often who are either returning to school or are in school. And whether you are kind of starting later in life and you're returning back to school or you're in school presently as an adult, it can be challenging, particularly when you feel like you are the older student. Maybe you're a little bit out of practice, and there are a lot of different changes in life that happen that make the school experience very different from maybe what it would have looked like 20 years ago. So, once again, welcome to Wellness Wednesday. And today we are talking about returning to school as an adult. So, whether you are completing your degree, you're changing your careers, or you're pursuing a lifelong dream, going back to school as an adult can be exciting, but also challenging. There's a lot to navigate. And so, I want to help you learn how to navigate that with confidence and wellness. But before we dive any deeper, I want to remind you about my latest book, Nina Smile. It is a heartfelt story about resilience and faith through life's challenges. So, also, while this episode is for adults, please feel free to share it with younger people in your life as a source of encouragement and support. And you can learn more at drbriannagaynor.com. Again, that is drbriannagaynor.com. So, let's just begin. Let's jump right into it. So, as I said, returning to school can be exciting, but also daunting because the older we get, the more responsibilities we have. We have a lot of different things that we're having to contend with: work, family responsibilities, a lot of challenges that maybe we didn't have in the past. A lot of those responsibilities can make adding school to the mix pretty intimidating. Yet, with intention and support, we can find meaningful growth and accomplishment. But what's going to be important as we are returning to school as adults is really having some specific tips and strategies to help us in this new phase of life. So, first, I want to say be patient with yourself. If you are returning to school, what school looked like 10 to 20 years ago is going to be different from what it looks like now. So, first, I want you to be patient with yourself and understand that even though something might have worked in the past, it may not necessarily work now, and that's okay. And so that's why we're talking about what does this look like specifically returning to school as an adult, because that can be different. So, first things first, let's embrace our why. Why are we returning to school? What is the purpose? Is it something you've always wanted to do? Is this to advance your career? Is it a career change? Whatever that is, remembering what the why is will help you stay motivated and connected. Is this something that you're doing to help your family or community, to be an example, or just something you never thought you were able to do and now you have the opportunity? When we are in the midst of it, school is challenging, all the things that come along with it. Having to study, having to learn information, having to divide time between your daily life responsibilities and adding school into that. And it can be overwhelming. So identifying what your why is will help you stay on track and continue to be motivated to continue on the path that can be challenging at times. What I would recommend is, in addition to embracing what your why is and remembering what it is, write it down. Write it down and have it somewhere visible so that you will remember and remind yourself of it. That will come in handy in the times where inevitably you're going to feel like not doing it. You're not going to want to go to school. You're going to wonder why you're doing this when the class is hard, when you're having difficulties, when you're having frustrations you haven't had to deal with. So not only embracing what your why is and identifying what it is, but creating some kind of visible reminder of that why is going to help you through the process. The second tip is manage your expectations with compassion. We say with compassion because a lot of times we tend to be really hard on ourselves. I find that we are much more compassionate with other people, reminding them to be gentle with themselves, to be kind to themselves, but we're not necessarily that way with ourselves. We have a need to do things perfectly, do it the right way. And a lot of times we tend to be high achievers who don't give ourselves a lot of room. And so, what is the expectation? Is the expectation that you're going to pass classes and get your degree? Is the expectation that you're going to have a 4.0 every semester? Is the expectation that you are going to do great on all the tests and take all the notes and answer all the questions in class? It's really important to think about what your expectations are and to also be open to that compassion piece that says that if these expectations are not being met, maybe there's something that I need to adjust, or maybe I'm open to adjusting. Understand that as you're always moving, you're changing, you're adjusting with a new transition, the expectation of what you think should happen can be very different from what actually happens. So leave yourself room to adjust and change based on that. School may look a lot different, and knowing that it's okay to adjust those expectations based on your circumstances and being okay with the fact that those expectations may be adjusted is great. We want to pass, we want to do well, but I remember being in grad school, for instance, and in some classes it was a pass and fail. I was used to being at the top of my class always. And so it was very challenging for me when there was one particular class that I really struggled in and had to get a tutor for. And it really hurt my self-confidence. But what I had to recognize is at the end of the day, I passed that class. It taught me how to persevere. I learned a lot because I had to get extra support. And now I get to do the thing I love and I went to school for. So ultimately, I passed the class. No one ever comes to my office and asks to see my transcript because I passed and I got my degree. So give yourself a little compassion and be willing to adjust expectations as needed, especially if ultimately you're still able to meet your goal. It's about progress, not perfection. The third tip is, and I'm sure you've heard this in a lot of different arenas, but create a structured schedule. We have a lot to balance: work, school, kids, responsibilities, bills. And so really understanding that you're going to have to create the time for those situations, for the school, for work, for studying in ways that you haven't before, requires having to create a schedule that's conducive to that. And so what that could look like is developing a weekly calendar with dedicated time for studying, for classes, for family, for work, for cooking. Especially in the beginning, having a structure and a plan can help you feel like you are on task and you're moving in the right direction. Again, adjustments can always be made, but kind of flying by the seat of your pants, not knowing how you're going to fit it in, not being able to look at the whole day and identify the times where you can fit that in will probably not be helpful. There are a lot of digital tools and planners that you can use to help you stay organized. There are a lot of more in-depth planners that you can get online. There are things that are kind of general for the week. Whatever works for you, start somewhere. So what does a planner look like? What does structure look like? Do you start with your Google Calendar and you just plan it out maybe by the day or by the week? And then maybe you readjust at the end of the week. Did the schedule that I create this week work for me? What worked and what didn't? So let's do an assessment maybe on Sunday night so that as we go into the next week, we can continue the things that worked and maybe adjust the things that didn't. But starting with some kind of plan, especially when you have all of life happening, which will continue to happen, is going to be your best bet in helping you in this transition. The other thing is build a support system, because we are not meant to do life alone at all, ever. And so you don't have to do this alone. Connecting with professors and fellow students, family and friends who encourage you, being able to talk to the people who will help uplift you when you're struggling, and also connecting with your peers. A lot of times, if we are in a position where we are going into this big transition of going into school, maybe the people that we're around, our best friends, our cousins, our siblings, aren't in the same position. And it can be challenging to go through a process alone when no one understands. So intentionally joining adult learner groups online or on campus to connect specifically with other peers is going to be helpful. There is something that really helps to normalize struggles, and that is connecting with other people who are going through the same thing. Groups can be very powerful because it helps you to see, not just know, but to physically see that you're not alone, that there are people who understand or who are maybe going through some of the same struggles. Doesn't mean that in these groups, everyone's going to have the same life circumstances, but this is a group of people who you can connect with who are understanding the school aspect. So they can help you with that. And then maybe you have people who in your life who can help support you when it comes to juggling family responsibilities. And then you have people in your life who understand the work stresses. Having people who understand different aspects of your life who you can connect with based on whatever you're struggling with or whatever you need to process or where you are in that day and time is extremely helpful. I know for me, being able to connect friends in grad school was essential to me passing my classes. And now being a business owner, it's really essential sometimes that I can just talk to another business owner who understands the specific struggles that I go through in a way that my loved ones may not, because they don't have the same experience. So connecting with people who understand the struggles you're going through is uniquely important to helping us get through this transition. So don't isolate, don't try to do it by yourself. Connect. Groups online or on campus. There are a lot of Facebook groups that you can connect with. Ask questions, start to talk to people. You never know when you're talking who can connect you to the next person who can help support you and who you can also help support. But please don't try to do this alone. And then prioritize self-care. We hear self-care a lot, and I think it can't be understated. What are the things that you need to do for yourself? Let's not neglect our mental and physical health during this time. There are basic things we're going to do every day, hopefully. We're going to eat and we're going to sleep, but are we eating balanced meals? Are we having quality sleep? Are we having regular movement? Sleep, appetite, movement are essential to our overall well-being. Where are you in all three of those areas? Are you able to sleep well? Is your mind always racing? How do we start to create better sleep patterns? Because better sleep leads to better mood. It leads to better concentration and productivity. And it's just better for our overall health. Activity, getting out and moving, getting out in the sun. What is it that you enjoy doing? I know for me recently, what I've had to remind myself of is I need sunshine. I need to get out. I can zone in and work for hours on end, but at a certain point, I'm not productive. But when I get up and I walk outside and I feel the sun and I take a deep breath and I get outside, it helps. So sometimes we have to break up the monotony. And sometimes we feel like maybe we're wasting time. We need to be doing work. But what we're not recognizing is the better we take care of ourselves, the better we're able to do all the other things we need to do. But it starts with us. If you are not healthy, and that also includes nutrition, what you're eating, what you're putting in your body, what feels good and what doesn't. A lot of times when we're eating heavier things, sugary things, processed foods, we feel heavy and bogged down. It can be more challenging, though, to take the time to cook. But what are some strategies that we can utilize? Can we meal prep? What are some easy things we can pick up? I've found a lot of influencers on Instagram that talk about quick meals that are also healthy, that keep you satiated. So there are so many resources, but understand that as we're talking about creating a schedule, our diet, our exercise, and sleep should also be a part of that schedule, because all of those things are extremely essential. And then what else do we need to do? Do we need to practice medication or breathing to reduce stress? Do we need to pray more? Do we need to journal? Do we need to get out and be with friends? Do we need to laugh? What are the things that you need to do to help you keep going? Because what I would say is, although we feel like that's taking time away, it's actually replenishing us. We are humans. We are not machines. And if we're not doing the things that we need to do for our body on a daily basis, on a weekly basis, then we're not going to be able to sustain all the stressors that come with life and that are inevitably going to come when we're returning to school as an adult. So there are 5 more tips. And to get those additional tips, I would like you to join our newsletter at drbriannagaynor.com, or I want you to comment 5 on this video and we will send you the rest of the tips. I so want you to be successful and to do this well. And I want you to remember that this is a courageous testament to you. It's very courageous to take the time to do something that can be daunting, that's going to add more stress to your life. And going back to school is a big deal. It has a lot of rewards, both professionally, personally, and emotionally. But there's also a lot of stresses that come with it. So be proud of yourself that you took this step and you're doing the thing that you've always wanted to do. It's very brave to get out of your comfort zone to reach your goals. Thank you so much for joining me for today's episode of Dr. Brianna Gaynor. Well, Wednesday Wellness today. And I want you to remember what your why is. I want you to create routines, and I want you to care for your mental health, because all of those things are going to help you be successful in this next season of life. If you found this helpful, please subscribe, leave a review, and share this episode with other adult learners or just people who need to hear this. And don't forget to check out my book, Nina's Smile, available wherever books are sold. And you can also find more information on drbriannagaynor.com. Once again, if you want the rest of those 5 tips, subscribe to our newsletter on drbriannagaynor.com or comment 5 and we will send those to you. Until next week, take care of yourself, celebrate your courage, and keep moving forward.